Now, in subject of formula, the first rule says if the relationship between these two values here, normally in equation you have left hand side and you have right hand side. So at the left hand side, whatever it is, or at the right hand side, if the relationship between the variable you're looking for and the other value, which is this, is plus, then it turns to minus when you move it over to the equal sign. Now we said all we need to do is to make this x stand alone. So what do? We find every possible way of taking anything that is related to x here out to the other side, right? So the first thing we do is to make this x stand alone. Anything that could be disturbing x on this side that this x is, we move them to the other side. In fact, if x is here, okay, we'll do with another example that has to do with if x is here, right? So how do we do it? We'll look at that as we move on. So the next thing we do is, once we identify that I want to move this 4 away from here to this place, this 4 now is positive. Remember I said every number that is positive like this has their plus sign at their back, but it won't show, right? Except if it is negative, that's when it will show. If it is the negative 4, it will show its minus. It always carry its negative sign. But a positive number does not necessarily need to carry its positive sign, most especially when they are starting the equation or an expression. Okay, so we are moving this 4 to the other side. So once we move this 4 to the other side, note this 4 is a positive 4. So once it moves across this equal sign, it changes to minus. That's the rule. If the relationship between the variable you're looking for and the other present value in the expression is positive, it goes to the next side, and that expression that moves to the next side changes to minus. Now, what are we moving to the other side of the equation? Is whatever that is disturbing x. All we need to do is to what? Make x stand alone. Now, to make x stand alone, we need to push away this 4, right? So we have x equals 6, right? This 4 is positive, and if it's crossed over, it changes to what? Changes to negative, minus 4. So x equals 2. As simple as that. So another example. See, for example, we have 2 divided by 5 plus x equal 3. Now, what do we do here again? We still move this 2 over 5 to the other side of the equation, right? That's the fastest way to do it. Move this 2 over 5 to the other side of the equation and do what? And solve. This is also positive, so it changes to minus when it gets here. So x equals 3 minus 2 over 5. This can also be 1, right? So what do? You solve using fraction. Remember, 3 times 5 equals 15 minus 1 times 2 equals 2, all divided by 1 times 5 equals 5. So if you solve, s equals 13 divided by 5. That's the first way of solving this kind of a question, right? Note, the answer is 13 over 5, Abi. So if you solve it the other way around, by saying, okay, you want to solve this in form of fraction, say 2 over 5 plus x all divided by 1, right, equals 3. You can do it. So we have 2 times 1, 2, plus 5 times x, 5x, all divided by 5 times 1, 5, right, equals 3. So what you do here is cross multiply. So we say 2 plus 5x equals 15, plus 3 times 5 is 15. All of this times 1 is what? All of this. So we take this to the next side, just to make this stand alone. So we say 5x equals 15 minus 2. So 5x equals 13. Divide both sides by 5. So that equals 5 cancels 5. So x equals 13 over 5. This is a long process. Just use the first to get your answer. So another example is, say, you have 2 minus x and they didn't equate it to anything for you. What you do is just automatically equate it to 0. So once you equate it to 0, what you do is say, take this 2 to the other side. So you have minus x, right? This minus x is still there, equals minus 2, right? Minus is here, and there's equal sign. When there's equal sign in between these two negative signs, the negative signs cancels one another. So if, for example, if you have minus a equals minus b, minus cancels minus, so a equals b. So in this case, we say minus cancels minus, so x equals 2. That will be our answer. Another example is, say, x plus 2. What do we do again? We equate it to 0. So say x equals push this 2 to the other side, it's a positive 2. So when you push it to the other side, it changes to minus. So that's minus 2. X equals minus 2, right? So another example is if we have 4 minus x, what do? We also equate it to 0, right? So we say minus x equals minus 4. Minus cancels minus, so x equals 4. Another example is to say 2 plus x, right? 2 plus x equals 0. We decide to push this away to this side, right? By saying 2 equals, remember x was positive here. If x crosses the equation, it changes to minus as well by saying minus x. Now, if, note that if a equals minus b, then b can equals minus a. Do you get? So if 2 equals minus x, then x can equals minus